Sharks. I'm Xavier. This is Emma, Ava, and Haley. And we have a plan that we believe will bring back jobs and revitalize small towns. We hope that you will invest in it as my associates will.
So, why do cities need our help? The short answer is because it doesn't only help the city itself and the people in it, but the cities around it, their states, and even the nation as a whole. We aim to assist economically depressed towns by not only allowing them to grow economically, but help keep up with national and even global markets. Our goal is to help people in and around these towns by lifting them from the burden of poverty and unemployment and raise them to a highly functioning, effective, and economically sound area. So, who are we? We are a private company that aims to fix cities fast by first creating manufacturing and infrastructure jobs, and then adding some other sectors into the economy such as tourism and more manufacturing that has a longer lifespan than the original ones. We also would like to form a symbiotic relationship with the town so that when we first go in, we are always there helping them, and they're in turn helping us to help themselves by creating their own individual sectors and allowing their own leaders to emerge. After this, we will make an independent and economically strong city so that we can come back and help them should they need it.
So how are we going to do this? So when we first arrive in a town, our first step is to always analyze, then implement. We analyze the resources available, how we can expand on the infrastructure already present, and we look at the people. We look at their strengths, their weaknesses. We also look at the leaders in the town, and we analyze who are the best leaders to help bring this town back up to their prosperity. Is there any corruption available? How can we take that down? And we also some of our goals is to be building some of the industries and creating jobs and just changing attitudes as a whole. And so just to go over some tactics that we have, one of the big tactics is to identify and build on existing assets. Identifying these assets offer the best opportunities for growth and develop strategies to support them. Some of the assets may include natural resources, outdoor recreation, historic downtowns, or implementing arts and cultural institutions. Another tactic is to engage all members of the community to plan for the future. We want to develop the vision as a whole. We don't live in this town, so we're not going to create the vision for them. We want the town to be involved in the vision process making to make sure all the community's needs and goals are being met, and we're also generating public support. And we also want to take advantage of outside funding. Any funding will be beneficial. It will also increase local interest and commitment. And we also want to create incentives. We want to make it easier for interested businesses and developers to invest in the community to help our long-term priorities. And we also want to just encourage cooperation within the community across the region, which also helps leverage assets. And we want to support a clean and healthy environment. Some of the tactics we have are just analyzing the natural assets available, redeveloping polluted properties, and remove environmentally contamination areas. So we understand that each situation is different and each town is different. So we look for certain characteristics within each town, such as infrastructural issues. If the roads aren't properly paved, that causes a huge issue. People can't get to their jobs. They can't do the things they need to do. We look at possible places of interest. We look at the type of economy available. Are they agricultural based, manufacturer based? That's a huge part of their economy. And just businesses in area and environmental issues as a whole.
So our case study, Roanoke, was home to the Norfolk and Western Railway Company until the early 1980s. This brought a lot of business to the area. However, in 1982, Norfolk and Western merged with another company which moved the headquarters to Norfolk. Because of this, Roanoke went to a steady economic decline where residents moved out of the city and areas started to become neglected. In 2000, a plan was enacted to bring back money and jobs by 1, improving the downtown area, 2, improving already existing natural activities, and 3, building a biomedical research facility. These 3 tactics helped bring Roanoke back to where it is today. We aim to have as little involvement in these towns as possible after our solutions have already been implemented. We will always be there to aid these towns, but we want them to thrive without our direct influence. These towns will receive many benefits from our services. They will be self-sufficient, more eco-friendly and cleaner. They will be more profitable due to an increase in revenue and jobs. And they will also have lower unemployment rates and a higher standard of living.
So, why is it worth it to hire us? We have a very low cost for a very high turnout, as we multiply the original investment by 10 in the towns that we have tried this out on. We also are very flexible and work with the city as much as we can, and we'll hire a team within the city itself to help themselves grow once we leave. Additionally, we would like to lower the poverty and unemployment not only in the town but in the cities around it, perhaps making it a epicenter kind of the area. So going back to the 10 times in the original decade, we asked for $1 million investment, which Xavier will
Yes,
elaborate
actually,
on.
what we need from you is a $1 million investment in exchange for a total of 45% equity in our company in order to be able to hire employees and invest in resources in town. Thank you.
So I have a few questions to begin. You gave a lot of very good ways that you want to solve these problems, but you didn't really give examples of how. So do you have any reasons how? So you said build on existing assets and get outside funding, provide incentives, and fix infrastructure. How are you going to solve these issues? What businesses are you going to pair up with? What companies are going to help you aid in this? And also, then you also said that it's going to generate 10 times the investment. So this is a revenue-based, business, I guess. So how are you going to get to that 10 times based?
I can take that. So originally when we go into the cities, what our goal is to first evaluate how the townspeople are, what their strengths are, and how the town is as a whole. So we need to see what infrastructure they already have, if they already have factories, if they already have agricultural bases. From that, we'll see what we can build on. We can build up factories if they're a manufacturing town. We can improve their infrastructure. So this is what the original investment is going into, is the main infrastructure. So after that, after we make factories, after we do whatever we need to in whatever sector we need to, the town will generate more and more income in those individual sectors as we as we start to leave and the townspeople start to take over.
Yeah, so like the how part is like using the money to hire employees. So once we have the factory made, we're giving them more jobs in the area, and that's helping the families nearby and just investing in resources so that we're able to do our jobs. Part of the reason that we came here today at the Shark Tank, because we want Women Sharks to pair up with us. The U.S. and a lot of local universities provide resources, like for Roanoke, Virginia Tech and University of Virginia offered a lot of investments as well. So you guys can help us hold fundraisers with a lot of local profit organization, outreach organizations in local universities and other companies as well.
So does that 10 times original investment go to the people in their profits? Does it go to you and to come back to us, or who does that go to?
It
And
goes,
also, how much will this all cost?
so the original investment is $1 million. We will use whatever we can to do that, and we would like to ask the local colleges for help, local townspeople and other things like that, so that we can increase the investment, so that we can increase the turnout. So a small percentage of the turnout comes to us, enough to keep us going, and then 45% of what we get goes to you. So the townspeople will get a big part of their profit as it goes to them in their incomes. However, our original investment comes back as shares and stockholders.
So sorry.
You can go.
Okay, so you said that you've done this before in other towns, and on your slide it says generates 10 times the original investment in a decade. So you have done this over 10 years ago, and it's brought back money. But how much money have you made from it? And yeah.
The Roanoke. Okay, so the Roanoke case study did generate 10 times the amount due to what was brought back.
We generated, so the original investment was 20,000,
20,000,
right? And
yeah.
it got back over 200,000.
So you put in 20,000, or
Yes, we
I would like to ask, because you mentioned that you're going to create incentives for businesses to come start branches in these small towns, but one of the biggest problems and the reasons these towns haven't been able to recover from the Great Recession is that there aren't the people there. In 2015, there was 14% of the U.S. population in rural areas. That's 14% of people spread out over 72% of the land. So how are you going to make businesses not only move to these places where there aren't a lot of people, but how are they going to compete with the the big box stores like Walmart and Amazon that can just churn out goods and ship them anywhere in the country.
I can answer that. So, when I say create incentives, so obviously we have like a limit, we have an extent of how many incentives that we can provide, but we're teaming up with the local like universities, for example, the University of Virginia, if they can also offer some money value incentives, because some of the money that so you guys get 45%, right? So within our own money, like for example, I'm willing to be able to offer some of my own percentage to some of the companies because they're coming in, they're helping the local area in a lot of ways. So that's just like kind of like what we meant. It's like, so at first the local area, like colleges or universities would be able to provide the initial incentive for the business just to come to the land. But then from my own profit, I'd be offering just some of the turnout because like I said, it comes out to be 10 times the original.
So about the like what kind of things will bring the people to the towns, we are going to have a very individualized approach to each individual city. So as in our Roanoke case study, we brought in a lot of highly technical and newly innovative things into those cities. So we're going to continue doing that, bring new technology, bring new jobs, which are appealing to the general populace now, rather than making these towns continue to go along in their not only like lower socioeconomic status, but lower technology and lower way of living.
I have a question. You said that your case study for this is Roanoke, Virginia?
Yes.
I'm just going through my head trying to apply this kind of thinking to the Rust Belt. So cities like Detroit, Cincinnati, Cleveland, you talked about looking at what kind of infrastructure has already existed. But places like Detroit, Cincinnati, and Cleveland have their industries that once made these cities prosper, like the auto industry moved overseas. And since the manufacturing jobs in America have shifted to like solar energy and other renewable resources, how are you able to transfer an overbuilt city for a population that isn't there, littered with crime? How am I incentivized to start working in a factory in a place like Detroit? It just, I don't know. It seems like such a daunting task.
Okay, I'll get that.
Okay.
So
Do you get my question?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a factory worker, if you are, or as a person, if you are unemployed in this city who you've seen has been losing jobs rapidly over years, you are going to want to work in a factory, especially in a newly built up and new sort of technologically advanced factory in this area. Although it is going to be difficult to bring jobs and severely help these big cities, since we are so individualized, we are going to look very specifically at individual cities. And right now our goal is to help cities like Radford, which we know about, we've been here, we've seen. So we are going to have to go into those cities, work with those people before we can give you a largely detailed description.
But it's also just like not just factories as a whole, like it's different for each like city. Like another case study that we've researched we saw with the impacts from the EPA, that a lot of people in the area had the skills to work in a biomedical research institution, but there just wasn't a biomedical research institution. So the EPA and the government helped make that, and then that was also just being able to bring more jobs.
Well, I really like this idea. Thank you very much. You did a great job.
Thank you.